Do you hate your handwriting a little bit? If your handwriting feels messy or a little bit inconsistent, don't worry, you don't need to learn calligraphy to learn how to make it better. Today, I'm sharing 7 tips that you can start using right now to improve your everyday handwriting. Hi, I'm Erin, and I've been really interested in handwriting for a really long time. I started actively developing my own handwriting style when I was about 11 years old, mostly because I loved my grandmother's script and I wanted to try to emulate that. That's not to say that I think my handwriting is anything to write home about. But I do often get comments asking how I got my handwriting to where it is, and I do also get comments from people in my life quite often that they think my writing is nice and can I please write on this birthday card for them. So there's my qualifications. There is something about handwriting that I've always found really fascinating. I think that our handwriting is a little bit of an insight into who we are. I love that different people's handwriting looks different and looks like a representation of them, and I'm not saying that there is not a place in the world for messy handwriting. If your writing is messy and you're happy with that, then please go forth and write messily. But if developing your handwriting style is something that you're interested in, whether that's to improve the readability of it or just to enjoy writing a little bit more, then hopefully you'll find something helpful in the tips in this video. Before we jump in, I did want to mention it may not be a great idea to try to apply all of these 7 tips at once. Learning anything new can be a little bit overwhelming, so if you're trying to apply 7 new techniques to your writing at once, you might find that you get frustrated and give up, and that's not what we want. Progress really does take time and brain power, so I recommend just choosing one tip to focus on at a time, whether that is for a particular writing session, over the course of a day, over the course of a week even, and once you start to feel like you're making some progress with that tip, then you can start to implement a different one. Just please don't forget to be kind to yourself. It's just handwriting. I swear it's not that serious.
For our first tip, let's start small. Just focus on your spacing. The space between your letters actually has a big effect on how readable your writing is. Too much space can make it difficult to piece the words together, and too little space can make your brain feel a bit overwhelmed. Try to keep the space between each letter consistent, as well as the space between each word. There's absolutely room for stylistic differences here, so you may need to experiment until you find the sweet spot that feels good to you. Once you've got the hang of spacing, let's take a look at your letter height and angle. This is a principle from calligraphy, but it applies to all of the text that we're used to reading too, especially typed. The aim here is to keep the height of all of your lowercase letters about the same. Then your capital letters will likely need to be a bit taller, and you'll want to aim to keep your ascenders and descenders reaching a similar length too. Those are the bits that reach a little bit higher or lower on some letters, like with H and F, they're a bit taller, and P and J, for instance, have a piece that comes down a bit lower. This doesn't need to be clinically precise, there's definitely room for a bit of variation, and bouncy, loose lettering is a style all of its own, but being aware of your letter height will help you make more purposeful decisions about those things if you're drawn to a looser lettering style, so it's still good to know. Those ascenders and descenders can also have a little bit of a slope to them, or be straight up and down depending on your handwriting style. Whatever you choose for your own style, try to keep it consistent. If you like it slopey, turning your page on an angle can really help achieve that. And yes, lefties, sloping your handwriting towards the left rather than the right is absolutely a valid choice. As long as your handwriting is readable, there are no other rules. If you're not sure where to start here, dot grid paper is great for observing trends in your letter height and angle, and also with your spacing, because you can measure things against the grid. You can also use it for practice, so depending on the size of your handwriting, for instance, you might try to keep your lowercase letters to the height of a single dot grid space, or if your handwriting is smaller, maybe it will be half a dot grid space, or if your handwriting is bigger, it might be 2 dot grid spaces tall. Then you'll want to also set a height for your ascenders and a height for your descenders and a height for your capitals as well, relative to the size of your lowercase letters. This next tip likely seems obvious, but it helps so much. Just slow down a little bit. Remember to breathe while you write. When you're taking your time, you'll have a better chance to practice making your angles and your letter heights and your spacing consistent. Speedy, scrolly, scratchy handwriting has its place in the everyday. You should see my thoughts and feelings journal. It is absolute chicken scratch. But for those moments when you want it to look good, take it slow. Over time with practice, you'll find that you can speed up a little bit and still keep your technique sharp, but especially now while you're trying to focus on things, keep it slow. I feel like a lot of the lettering content that we see online has been sped up to fit with our social media attention spans, but just know that most of those people weren't actually writing that quickly. Here's a tip that I personally really need to work on. Try not to squeeze your pen too tightly. Choking the life out of your pen can result in hand fatigue, which contributes to messier writing because you just want it to be finished because your hand hurts. I actually have a massive bump on my right middle finger because of decades of gripping my pen too tightly. It's a really hard habit to break, but I'm trying to work on it. A looser grip is also going to help you get smoother, flowier lines, which is definitely something that I want in my writing. If you're not sure what kind of writing styles you like, keep your eyes peeled for inspiration, even in unexpected places. Whether it's here on YouTube within journaling content or on Instagram, or just out in the world on signs and on menus or inscribed in the front of old books, take note when you see a letter you like. Even take a photo or a screenshot if you can. Then work out how to reverse engineer it. Try to find a stroke order that works and look at its proportions, and try it out in context with the rest of your writing. I mentioned that I modeled a lot of my own handwriting style on my grandmother's. I grew up in a time before the internet, so I had a fair bit of free time as a kid, but I would spend that time copying her elegant E's and letter G's from birthday cards and handwritten recipes. I've also been known to take photos of old ledgers or letters in museums when I'm traveling so I can study those letter forms later. Also, you can change up your lettering style whenever you want, so if you come across an A that you like better than the way you've been doing your A, you can just change it. Don't be afraid to evolve and change. This tip is probably the one that's the most fun for us stationery lovers, and that is to find a pen that you enjoy using. Some people prefer the feeling of a felt-tipped fineliner, while others love a classic ballpoint biro or a gel pen, and of course there's a whole world of fountain pens to dive into if you're interested. They're especially great if you find you get tired easily while writing because the ink flows really smoothly and readily from the tip. Writing with a great pen that improves the experience for you can change the game entirely, and the size of the tip or the nib can also affect how your writing looks. If you have a favorite writing pen, tell us about it in the comments below so folks who are still looking for their perfect pen can use your information as a resource. I'm personally a big fan of the Muji gel pen. This is the one I always take on holidays with me when I'm traveling and keeping a travel journal. I love the Tom Studio Ren writing pen for a fairly luxe but endlessly reusable option. I use that a lot in my reading journal. And I love the Platinum Little Shooting Star if you're looking for a great and affordable first fountain pen. I'll make sure those are all linked in the description. And my last tip, practice improving your handwriting every time you write. Diary entry is handwriting practice. Shopping list, that's handwriting practice. Sticky note to a coworker, handwriting practice. Making a to-do list, that is handwriting practice. If you're usually someone who uses digital planning tools, try using a paper system for a while just so you can use it for handwriting practice. If you never have the opportunity to write by hand, maybe you can get a pen pal or write a letter to an old friend instead of a text. All of these moments add up, but you might need to create some opportunities for yourself to write in order to get that practice in. And if you really want to see your progress, start by writing something in your regular handwriting first as it is right now before you make any changes, and keep that sample somewhere safe so you can compare it to your handwriting in a month from now, or 6 months from now, or a year from now, and see how far you've come.
I wish you all the best on your handwriting journey, and I hope these tips can help you to fine-tune things and come to love your writing too. If you have any other tips that might help others watching with their handwriting, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I'd love it if we could make the comment section a resource for people who are trying to improve their handwriting too. In case you're keen to keep watching, here are some other videos. This one is all about how to make your bullet journal more beautiful with some graphic design techniques, and underneath that is a playlist of all of my bullet journal videos so far this year.